Wow, Bruce Levine on a Victory Monday? Yes, indeed, because what does the signing of Alex Bregman do to the Cubs' offense and to their offseason overall? How surprised were you that Tom Ricketts approved a deal for $175 million over 5 seasons?
I was in the press box watching the Bears game, engrossed in that. A couple seats away, Chris Emma was the one who told me, hey, did you see the Cubs sign Alex Bregman? And I was like, don't kid me like that. Don't play with me here. The Cubs did what? They did what? We talked to Ken Rosenthal Saturday morning on Inside the Clubhouse. He alluded to the fact that when I asked him about the 4 guys the Cubs were still in on free agent hitters, and we talked about them last week, Bichette, Bellinger, Tucker, and Bregman. Ken Rosenthal said Bregman was the one they were closest with. This is a game changer in terms of your expectations for next year. You might have had high expectations with Matt Shaw at third base and getting Cabrera and all of that. But when a big market team behaves like a big market team and the Cubs get the guy, the caliber of Alex Bregman, all of a sudden you're talking about one of the best teams in the National League, good enough to challenge the Dodgers. Yes, they're good enough to challenge the Dodgers. And they are maybe a few tweaks away, maybe this, maybe that, but they got their guy. Money well spent. Congratulations, Tom Ricketts. This isn't waiting for 2027. This is putting now ahead of later. Who cares about 2032? You got 2026.
That's how you replace Kyle Tucker. That's how you do it. I told many people at the Spring Inn where I was at that this was happening, trying to lighten up the mood, and they're like, wait, what? Shut up. And they're all like, they're looking at their phone. They're like doubting me. They thought it was like a prank to like change, like, well, let's just start focusing on the Cubs. Somebody I know sent me a countdown clock at halftime to preseason baseball.
Come on, that was kind of funny.
It was kind of funny.
And it was kind of Mully.
It was kind of a reaction to everything that was going on.
And I thought, boy, thank God for the Cubs. Honestly, Mully, I thought, thank God for the Cubs. Let's hope they do something else, in free agency or a trade to get the mood, in the right, because the mood's going to be terrible on Monday morning. I mean, you weren't wrong. You weren't wrong. But they talked about Kyle Tucker lengthening the lineup, right? And that's what this does. This he goes right into third or fourth, I believe, third or fourth. And when you go top to bottom, assuming that they don't trade Nico Hoerner, this makes this really good.
Trade Matt Shaw.
Look, be fine.
I thought,
how about just keep everybody for once, right? Like last year when they signed, Mully, to your point about keep them all, when they signed the right fielder, right? And then you thought, ooh, what would this lineup look like? And you keep Bellinger around. And that didn't happen. Well, let's keep everybody around and let's see what happens.
I like you that you said that. You want to know how you win the World Series? Go ahead and bring back Tucker now. Go ahead. If you're
that
in on Tucker.
That may be gluttonous only because where in the world would you play him?
Win a World Series, you play him in right field.
Oh, yeah. You still got room for him.
So Otani's
you got room for him.
Permanent DH?
Yes.
Yeah. You got room
Otani
for him.
splits in the right field is better than
I'm just saying, if you want to win
You're
the World
greedy.
Series.
You're getting greedy.
No, I'm being honest. He just brought it up with Bellinger.
Right.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
You're telling me they're in on Tucker. Oh, that's bound to happen.
I didn't say that.
I'm making a joke. I'm just saying, you want to win a World Series? Win the World Series.
How about bring Bellinger
You're
back,
close enough right now to win the World Series. Go ahead and do it.
I think you are.
Go ahead and do it. Make one more move. Hey, listen, it was wonderful to see them finally get off the wallet and make that big payment and not worry about what's going to happen in 27 and not start planning for 32. Go ahead, make a move like that. That solves a lot of the problems and the issues that we've been talking about. And it's not my money, so clearly I don't care what they pay in tax or whatever. But if you want to win a World Series, keep going. Why stop now, boys?
But speaking of that tax that you just mentioned, getting off the wallet, according to Ken Rosenthal, 70 of the 175 is deferred.
It's
That's
a smart
something
contract
that
the way that he
really
has reported it,
haven't done.
and it could also keep them under this luxury tax.
Let's go.
So it was a very shrewd signing. Unexpected, too.
Yeah, it was great. It was needed at that point.
Definitely.
Yeah, and thanks to our guy John Heyman. That's how I found
How about
out.
John Heyman?
Yeah, he's
yes.
great.
Keeping us informed and also breaking that story.
Yes. Unbelievable.
Well done.
Let's not pretend it was Chris Emma, and I love Chris.
No, he told me in the press box. I was not checking my phone religiously, watching the game, and Emma's like over there hyperventilating because the Cubs got Bregman.
I'm Bruce. Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great, guys. How are you?
Doing well.
Huge news, the Bregman deal. Really great to see the Cubs go ahead and bring in a player like that. It obviously really changes the season, and it's deferred money, which is really interesting. Does that mean there's more work to do? Does that mean they're just getting going? Do you feel like that solidifies and finishes the offseason?
Well, we haven't heard anywhere that the Cubs won't go over the threshold for the luxury tax. They've been chastised. They've been told that they need to spend more than other teams do. They need to be in the $300 million area. Right now, they're at about $244 million, but I would say that going over the threshold this year will not be a big problem. Will they go into the area where you're going for a Bellinger or reuniting with a Tucker? No, I don't think they're going that far. But from the perspective of keeping on adding and being able to add in July by the trading deadline, I think this team's all in to win this year. So if you've questioned the Cubs' motives and whether or not they've gone all in, I think this is a year you can't do that.
All right, Bruce, let's go back to Saturday. How did this all come together? We talked to Ken Rosenthal about 9:30 Saturday morning and inside the clubhouse. He said that he thought the Cubs, of the four guys left, were closest with Bregman. And then Saturday night, in the midst of the Bears trailing the Packers, the news breaks. What happened to make Saturday night the moment they came to an agreement?
Well, I mean, they had been trading offers for over 3 or 4 weeks right now. Bregman had told a source of mine that Cubs had made multiple offers to them and that he was feeling good about his chances going to the Cubs. At one time, he felt it was Cubs, Toronto, and Arizona in that order, and that was who was expressing the most interest in making the real offers. Toronto went out and signed the Japanese third baseman. They've probably figured that out, although we don't know if they're going to bring Bichette back or not to the team. But the reality was this is when Boris and Bregman got the right amount of money and said, "Let's go. This is a good deal. We're ready to go." Boris, for all the people who look at him and they go, "Oh no, not this guy again." He actually got a 6-year, $36 million a year deal for Bregman if you add in the 1 year of the $40 million that he got from Boston. So he got the opt-out in that deal. It worked out beautifully for him and Bregman getting this $175 million deal with the Cubs.
Yeah, listen, you can't argue with the amount of money that you're talking about here. What does that mean? What does this mean for Matt Shaw? Obviously, Bregman, we know he's here for 5 years. What does this mean for other players on the team, for the fight for playing time, etc.?
Well, bring an outfielder's glove to spring training. That's what it means for Matt Shaw. So is he going to be a super utility guy? Is he going to be the right-handed part of playing right field for the Chicago Cubs? I don't see why not. He's a very athletic guy. He hasn't really played any outfield since I think he was in high school, but the reality is that they didn't think he could play third base either, right? Even the Cubs said, we're not sure this is going to happen. Watching him in spring training last year, there were mechanical issues that he had to deal with, and he did it because he's a really good baseball athlete. Keep that in mind. And I think that he will be a part of the equation of the bench right now. But if you look at it realistically, I think he'll be part of the of the rotation in the lineup. You have older guys starting to happen. You have 32 in left field. You have 32 at third base. You have 32 at shortstop. The starting players arguably played too many games for the Cubs last year because of a lack of bench and the fact that they stayed healthy and were productive. That is not ideal moving forward for the team. So therefore, Shaw being a part of the rotation of position players means somewhere between 400 and 500 at bats if he accomplishes the goal of being the right-handed choice in right field from time to time when Ballesteros and Suzuki are taking part in the DH. So there's a lot of moving parts to still be figured out here. The Cubs have to address their bench. They need a little bit more help there. But as far as Shaw, I think that's the role you're going to see here. And, then you have to talk about Horner and the fact that other teams have approached the Cubs about Horner, and will the Cubs consider moving him? My question to you guys, and will be to Jed Hoyer when the Cub convention starts on Friday, is why haven't we heard anything about an extension for Nico Horner? Even if he signs an extension, he's still an attractive player elsewhere if that's one of the part of the equation that the Cubs and Horner are concerned about. So this is a young player, one of the best players in the league at his position, if not the best. And you have to look at this and go, you scratch your head a little bit and say, why hasn't there been any talk about an extension at this point?
Well, Bruce, I think Tom Ricketts, first of all, deserves credit for making an investment that people, frankly, loudly questioned whether or not he would be willing to make. And $175 million is a lot of money. So they get Bregman, they've got Cabrera, they're rebuilding the bullpen. I don't see the Nico Horner thing making any sense, even if the Yankees do call. What else are they going to do this offseason, if anything, or in your mind have to do to complete this roster?
Well, they need a couple backups to play shortstop, third base, outfield. They're two outfielders down. So we don't consider Shaw an outfielder as of yet until we see him perform in spring training. So they traded Casey. They lost Tucker. Where's your fortification in the outfield? Somebody goes down. Is it Alcantara? Is it what does your outfield look like? Do you have another center fielder? Is it Alcantara if PCA goes down? So they need depth in the outfield. They need depth on the bench. They've had a poor bench for the last 2 years. They got away with it this last year because the position players were so good and so healthy. You can't count on that again this year. So from the perspective of them not wanting all their players to play 150-plus games and that they're getting older, they're definitely going to have to fortify that bench. Do you have a closer? Is Valencia going into spring training, is he your number one guy coming out of the pen in the ninth inning? We saw great things from him early in the year, last year, to the mid-year. Toward the end, he was no longer the closer after that Washington debacle where he gave up a couple home runs and came out not healthy from that. Was it more mental or physical healthy that they were dealing with? So these are some of the things that they have to deal with. It's all good news, though, as you point out, David. They are not just going to sit there and wait. They're going to continue to consider trades. They're going to consider more free agency. How much more they're going to spend in free agency, I can't tell you that.
Anything new with the White Sox at all, Bruce, as long as we're talking about all the successful things happening in Chicago?
Well, they're still going to have to sign or trade for edge infielders and outfielders. And, you wonder if they're going to consider bringing Michael Tauchman back as a player. He was so good for them.
Right.
The injury factor is the only thing that holds you up when, you're going to a 34 to 35-year-old guy who played his rear end off even when he was injured last year. But the reality was he was injured a couple times. So I think he'd be a perfect addition again to the to the Chicago White Sox. You know, if he was a right-handed hitter, maybe the Chicago Cubs as well. But nonetheless, I think the White Sox will continue to add. They need more pitching depth. That's for sure. And they had the least amount of starting pitcher innings last year of any team in baseball. So they've addressed that with a couple of stealth signings, but I think they have more to do.